Major Newton, please.
Would you kindly fill in the pass, please? Room 14, you know where it is, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Room 14, miss.
Thank you.
Sorry. Are you going in here too?
Yes.
Come in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Well, I don't think you two have met. Captain Brown and Miss Williams.
How do you do?
Won't you sit down? Cigarette?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Well, I'm sure you're both wondering what all this is about. Did you get any clues at our previous interviews?
No.
Well, I made a guess. Seems to have been wrong.
What was it?
Some sort of commando work, but obviously if Miss Williams is involved.
As a matter of fact, your guess wasn't so far out. Commando work isn't a bad way of describing it. I want you both to go to occupied France.
France?
How?
By sea or air, only you won't be going in uniform.
What do we do when we get there?
Organize resistance, act as liaison officers with London.
Would we be working together?
I hope so. Miss Williams would be your wireless operator. I don't need to say the job is difficult and dangerous. That must be obvious to you both. Are there any questions before you decide?
What made you pick on us?
It wasn't just haphazard. We make extensive inquiries before we recruit our people.
Do you think we're the right people for the job?
We're sure of it.
All right, I'm on.
Of course.
Good.
What do we do first, sir?
Get fit.
They had their own ideas about getting us fit. No smart drill movements, no parade ground stuff. They wanted us to look like ordinary, unhealthy civilians, and yet be able to take a commando battle course in our stride. They seemed to take a delight in making us climb up things and then jump down, or slide down.
We were taught all about firearms, British and foreign.
And how to use them in any emergency.
We went on a 30-mile walk across country, with only a map and compass to guide us.
There was a theme song for our course. Je tire ma révérence. We used to make up unprintable words to it, in French, of course. Then we joined the parachute school. Here, with comic apparatus, we were able to practice each stage of the parachuting, from the jump out, through the air, to the somersault on the ground. The instructors told us exactly what to expect, and when we came to our jumps, we found they'd been right.
The first jumps were pretty nasty.
The balloon jump was the worst. The awful silence as the earth receded, and the gathering noise of the wind as we went higher.
The others looked green. I suppose I was too.
Then suddenly I was in the air and the countryside was coming up at me.
Jumping from an aircraft was better. Somehow, the noise of the engines made me excited.
Then we went to another school. This really was a school. I mean, we had lessons. The instructors were like smooth young university dons who'd taken a course under Pimpernel Smith or Raffles. They told us in the most gentlemanly manner how to organize our private lives as saboteurs, how to burgle a house, how to get out of handcuffs. They told us almost apologetically about lethal tablets, suicide pills, to be taken only as a last resort.
We made notes about organization and personal security.
Learned how to recognize all ranks of the German services.
Taught how to use codes.
How the BBC sent personal messages during the French news.
The organization of the Gestapo.
Until our brains reeled under the load of information. At another school, we were taught how to organize reception committees. That's local people who'd collect in a field the night the RAF were coming to parachute supplies. With electric torches, they'd guide the planes to the field. Then there was a radio device called the Eureka, used to guide an aircraft to us from 20 miles away. And there was the S-phone, a kind of wireless telephone on which we could talk to pilots, or to anyone who might fly out from London.
Then I started work at the WWII school, transmitting, receiving, coding and decoding. Morse, Morse and more Morse. I dreamt in Morse. I even started knitting in Morse.
At still another school, I started a course of industrial sabotage. The first problem was how to get into factories. So we had lessons on scaling unscalable walls and climbing unclimbable fences. We had a week's intensive lecturing about the weak spots in the industrial system of occupied Europe. The railway network was included in this. We were shown how we could hold up supplies by cutting the line at the right place and at the right time. Another weak spot was the electric power supply. We were told to attack transformers wherever we could. There was evidently no use blowing up pylons, as they could be repaired too quickly. Railway engines have their weak spots too, and the Germans were having enormous difficulty in replacing worn-out and damaged engines. The most vulnerable point was the cylinders. Quite a small charge in the right place can put an engine out of action for months. Sometimes people had to be got out of occupied Europe in a hurry, by air. The RAF told us about the pattern of lights for the flare path, and the type of field they'd need for a landing ground. It was up to us to find it. Good approach, right length of runway, excellent surface, and of course, as far away as possible from German interference. Seeing a Lysander actually landing and taking off on a small English meadow gave us a very good idea of all that was required.
All this time I had been working away at my Morse, and by now with some success. Even the instructors had a kind word to say.
We finished our training with a scheme, which meant we were sent off separately with forged British identity cards.
I was dropping my wireless set 10 miles from a town. Had to make my way in, get lodgings, and transmit messages at regular intervals.
I was given the necessary papers to get a job in a large munitions works. I had to bring back plans of secret plant to prove that I'd got past the guards. Half an hour after dropping us, a signal was sent to all police services in the area that a parachutist had been dropped, believed to be a German agent.
We got away with it somehow, but when we came back, we were put through a fierce interrogation.
And although we didn't know it at the time, questions were being asked about us in London.
The Gestapo have been having a roundup in France just lately. Our worst headaches in the Vendée, where Petronius and Camille were arrested last month. We must assume that the whole of the organization that they built up is blown, and send out a new organizer and wireless operator as soon as possible to get that area going again.
It's an important area strategically. Covers a lot of main railways and roads.
Have we anyone suitable to send out? There are two people nearly finished training, sir, a man and a woman. They'd make a good team.
Really high class?
They are, sir.
All right. Then, Ted, you'll see if they can be ready in time for the coming moon period and get them out to the field.
Now the organization's clothing section took us in hand. And without asking for coupons, tailors, dressmakers, shoemakers prepared clothes for us suitable for France. Clothes that wouldn't shout, made in England.
The attention to detail was fantastic. Even laundry marks were removed from our underclothes.
Backgrounds had to be worked out for our new French identities. My father was a bank manager in Paris. He died about 20 years ago. Then my mother brought me to London. I was about 8 years old.
We can stick part of that anyway. But let's say she took you to Quebec. It's a bit further away and would help to explain the accent.
All round Bordeaux I know very well, and Paris, of course, and La Touraine.
Well, let's say you were married to a wine merchant in Bordeaux who used to travel a great deal.
They prepared complete sets of papers fitting in with our new identities.
We've heard from France today. You'll be dropped by parachute about 6 miles from Henri Picard's house. You've got the names of your other contacts, haven't you?
Yes.
Good. All these people are reliable according to our latest information, but don't take anything for granted. Password?
Je voudrais voir Mademoiselle Nadine.
Vous voulez dire Mademoiselle Nadine Perron?
Non, c'est Mademoiselle Nadine Ducrot, votre cousine, que je cherche.
Your operational names will be Felix and Cat.
When do we go, sir?
It all depends on the weather. We'll lay on the operation for the next moon period, and you'll go down to the holding school near the airfield and wait there.
I think Cat and Felix are going tonight.
Oh, I shall ask them. You two are going tonight? Hmm? You are lucky. I've been waiting for 2 weeks and still nothing. Well, good luck.
Thanks. But Cat and I aren't counting our chickens yet. Are we, Cat? You see, it's sure to be scrubbed. Nearly always is.
Will you know for sure?
Any minute now.
You will go tonight.
How do you know?
I have a feeling in my bones.
Oh. Trouble is, I don't think his bones are tuned to the right frequency, do you? Find that soothing?
Very.
Do you knit French style or English style?
No style. All styles I like.
Oh, no, they're not. It's just the kind of thing to get you caught out, McGill. I've seen French women knit, and it's quite different. Here, let me show you.
Hey, give that back. You'll undo it all.
Cat, it's not scrubbed after all. We're on. We're definitely going.
Yes, I know.
So the dealer said, well, I'm frightfully sorry, old man, I quite forgot to tell you. He also sits on fish.
Time to be off now, Ted.
Right, we'll come at once.
Mustn't miss the boat train.
No, I think we ought to get going now.
Okay. At the end of a side road closed to the public, we entered an RAF station. This airfield held one of the biggest secrets of the war, for it was from here that hundreds of agents and supplies by the ton were delivered by air to occupied Europe. An old farmhouse had somehow managed to survive right in the middle of the airfield. There weren't any cows in the barns. The barns were used now for packing and storing parachutes.
Good, you're only 5 minutes late. This is your dispatcher, Warrant Officer Brown.
How do you do?
Right, shall I lead the way on?
Look after the kids, will you?
Yes, sir.
It's a compass. And a torch. That's all right, I think. Now, I'll help you on with these if you could just sit down, would you?
Now, let's just check you over. Have you anything in your pockets?
Don't think so. Oh, cigarettes.
Oh. French for British?
Thank you very much. Just a minute.
Sixpence. There won't be much good to you in France.
Don't forget you owe me when I come back.
Okay. Any bus tickets in your bag?